Hi, my name's Leanne. I'm one of the pro makeup artists for Leanne. Today I'm going to show you my foundation application using one of our pressed powders. Now the powder palette that I'm going to be working from to give me my coverage is from our Dual Finish collection, which is the Warm Complexion palette. Now this product is absolutely one of my staple products to have within my makeup kit, and also for my personal use as well. I do not leave the house without it. It's definitely a saving grace product to have in your kit. Now it's a dual purpose product, so this means that you can use it wet or you can use it dry. If you do find that you're someone that doesn't like the texture of using a liquid foundation or a cream, it is a lot more of a drier, softer, buildable foundation. Now, if you're using it dry, you can just use it with a general powder brush just to build your coverage. If you'd like to use it wet, you have the option then of using either a sponge or a powder brush. I would say if you're using a brush, just use something more denser, like this one, 8953 from our Blue Masters range, just that can actually buff and polish that powder into the skin. Now, even though it only states as a dual purpose product, it doesn't mean that you can't use it in multiple different ways. Now, with that, I do use it as a full coverage foundation, so that can be, again, used wet or you can use it dry. I also like to use it to highlight and to contour and to finish off eyeshadow as well, so it works in many different ways. Now on my skin I have absolutely nothing. I have just a little bit of primer on there just to hydrate my skin. So I'm going to show you how you can build your coverage without using any other foundations alongside. Now with this I'm only going to work on one side of my face just so that you can actually see the difference and the finish within the product. So we're going to start off just using our Warm Complexion palette. I'm going to be working with FS38, which is this one just here. Now within the palette itself, it has a really great mixture of undertones. So you have everything there from your warm and neutral palette. There is a colour in there that's slightly more cooler, which is this top one here, which is 3W. So if you do find that you need something a little bit more fair in there, just to help to neutralise and cool down any of those other colours, you can. If you do need a palette primarily for lighter, fairer skin tones, then the Cool Complexion palette will be the one that you need. So I'm just buffing and stippling the product into my skin just to build the coverage. But the fantastic thing I love about this powder is, you know, if you are going to use it on top of foundation, which you can, you don't always have to use it on clean skin. It works amazingly in layers, so you can always during the day, if you need to touch back up with any foundation, any concealers, it can go on top of the powder and the powder doesn't split because it's used to then absorbing any water again. If you are going to reactivate it to turn it into a liquid foundation, it works really well in that respect as well. I also love working with it because it helps to smooth out the texture of skin. So if you find that you're having any challenges with pores, if someone has more acne prone skin, if you find the skin's a little bit more uneven in texture, it acts almost like an airbrush. It gives you a really flawless, smooth finish, not only to the complexion and colour, but also to the texture of the skin. And that's why for me, if I'm having really bad days with breakouts, like even now I'm quite dry around this mouth area, it just smooths that all out and it just stops it being so obvious. And again, you can kind of build it as much as you want. You don't want to go too crazy with it because you don't want to have too much on the surface, but just until you're happy with the amount of coverage that you have. So this is, I would say, anything from a medium coverage. If you feel like you need extra, so I've got a blemish there, you can see, I'm just going to add an extra little layer of powder on there. And it doesn't mean that you can't conceal first. You can always do all of your concealer first and then finish with the powder if you just don't want to go to a commercial foundation. You want something a little bit more softer. But yeah, I'm hoping that you can see that it's completely smooth and flawless. You can see on this side all of my redness, you can see my blemishes. You can also see as well, sorry I'm coming really close to the camera, but just so you can see all of my pores on this side, and this side is just like it's been photoshopped. It's completely smooth. So it's not to the drastic stage of where I've put so much on. It's still very lightweight. It doesn't look too cakey, too heavy, but you can definitely see those results just from that fine application. Even my under eyes, how dark they are there compared to this side. So that's with the Warm Complexion palette as a full coverage. Now I'm going to show you how you can highlight and contour also with the dual finish. You do have many different palette forms. Just to repeat over them again, you have the Warm Complexion, that's what I just worked with. You have the Cold Complexion, you have modelling, contouring, and the Silhouette palette. Now this is a Silhouette palette, which is another favourite of mine. I'm going to be working with this really gorgeous pale pink, which is called Bonbon, and I'm going to work with this really gorgeous warm brown, which is Caramel. So these are two fantastic colours when I'm doing any highlighting and contouring. If you find that you have someone that needs something more yellow based, Banana is also fantastic for underneath the eyes. Again, I'm only going to do one side. You'll be quite surprised how pigmented these powders actually are. I have worked with the product for so many years and they never cease to amaze me with how pigmented they are. So the Silhouette palette is actually one of our newest palettes within the dual finish range, and it literally changed my life when it comes to doing any makeup, especially if you're only doing something where you want someone to look really natural, that kind of no makeup, and just that tiny little amount underneath the eye makes a world of difference. I mean, you can see it just makes the eye look fresh. It gives a really gorgeous bounce back to the light as well. It's non-reflective, completely matte, but it helps just to lift and brighten. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of the Banana as well, just to make that pop a little bit more. It's amazing that you can do a full makeup just with one powder palette. If you are a slightly more drier skin and you are a little bit nervous about using powders all over, all I would say to you with this one, it really doesn't react like a loose translucent powder would, or a talc based powder. It is so soft. I'm even a dry skin myself, and I tend to steer away from most powders because I don't like the fact that they grip to the texture of the skin. However, like I said to you at the beginning of this, I do not leave home without it. It just gives me that confidence in my skin just to feel extra covered and just look really flawless. So yeah, if you are someone who's not a believer in powders, this one should hopefully change your mind. So what I'm going to do now is just go in with a little bit of the Caramel. I've just worked that colour as well, so that Bonbon and Banana just up to my brow bone, just to again add a little hint of colour. And especially with the Silhouette palette, the colours are slightly more pigmented. You do get an instant kind of pop of colour with those as well, so you don't need too much. And just to finish off, I'm going to put it on my eyes, just so that you can see how you can use it also as a eyeshadow. And these are the sort of things that I love when you literally need to run out of the house, you haven't got time to do a full face of makeup, and it's something as well that's really great for when you're travelling. So for myself as a makeup artist, I do tend to travel quite often. I'm sure for you guys, if you're doing makeup, you know how it is. You're going from one place to another. It's early starts, late finishes. And as well, sometimes if you're just, you know, on the go, you have a job that's quite demanding, you need to get your makeup on and get out, and you can take it with you. It's just travel friendly as well as everything else. Under my eyes a little bit. Okay, so that is the powder all done. So that was the dual finish palette. We used the warm complexion just to do our full coverage and concealing, and then we used the silhouette palette to do our contour and highlight. So this is my face with nothing on, completely clean, just a little bit of eye makeup on, and then this is the base done completely from dual finish.